Welcome to episode 32 of VYPE Recruit Spotlight. I'm your host, Wack, joined alongside, as always, Jackson and Ashton. Let's check in on our boys here. Jackson, how you doing, man?
Doing good, doing good. Another busy week. We've got week 4 now. A lot of teams have bye weeks this week, but I'll be out tomorrow covering, or when this airs on Friday, covering New Caney Woodlands. So very excited for that big time district matchup. But overall, been a busy week in recruitment as well.
Ashton, how are you doing, man?
I'm doing good. It's been a busy week, so a much needed bye week. Only one game for me this week. Katy Paytown and Morton Ranch today, which would be yesterday, the day that goes up. But yeah, just super excited to get into some recruiting news today.
Let's go ahead and get into that. Last week, of course, we talked about Texas and the importance of the Bama game, and lo and behold, a lot better than probably almost everyone, except maybe people in that locker room, thought that game would go. I mean, they really had a chance to take that win. You know, people are going to talk about controversial non-calls and stuff, which there were, but at the end of the day, you got to make the plays. You can't rely on the refs. That being said, Texas only loses by a point, and like I said, it came down to really one of the last few plays of the game. That's going to be good for Texas from a recruiting standpoint. You know, you don't like to talk about moral victories, but that's gotta be a really good sign for Texas on the recruiting front. Jackson and Ashton, don't you think? I'll get your thoughts on that. I know we talked about what this game would mean, and so now that that's taken place, there's even rumblings of maybe a couple of commits from other schools. You know, maybe they're having some second thoughts about, maybe they should come to Texas. So that being said, let's turn it over and get your thoughts on this game and what impact it could have on the Texas high school football recruiting world.
Yeah, I think that playing them tight like they did was really impressive. I think it's not, like you said, it's not what a lot of people thought was going to happen. And obviously, that means a lot to recruits to see that they're trending the right direction. I feel like this is definitely going to impact keeping a lot of their kids that maybe we talked about could potentially flip after watching that game. But I think that how tight they played them really is going to keep those guys, and it's going to help them winning some battles that they have with some of the recruits still left on the table.
Ashton, what are your thoughts on that game and the ramifications it could have?
Yeah, just to kind of piggyback of what Jackson said, whatever guys that may have been on the bubble may now be more inclined to commit to UT. Like we talked about last week, the old if you come here, we can beat them. So now that they really only lost by 1 point, the emphasis on if you're able to come here, hey, like we do have a chance at beating these guys.
Here you go, prediction time. When we see someone, doesn't have to be now, it could be later in the season, right? Do we see someone decommit and flip to Texas because of, maybe not solely because of this win, just random prediction time, don't have to be right. What do you think, Ashton? Do you think that we'll see someone decommit and flip to Texas now?
Well, to not name names, I know there's a big elephant in the room that John Tate Cook has been pointing out the last week or so. If you really keep up with the Texas high school football recruiting world, you know who I'm talking about. And I'm not 100% sold that this game will flip some people, but it'll definitely turn some heads, and people are really going to take UT a little more serious. But to give an answer, I'm not sure that this game is going to flip a whole bunch of people, especially the one that John Tate Cook's going after. But yeah, that's just me.
And Jackson, I really think your answer is going to be no, because I can see you on my end when Ashton's talking. So I'm assuming your answer is no. This isn't going to flip anybody, not anybody.
I mean, I think you will flip people, but like Ashton said, the person that John Tay is really going after, I know a lot of people that are in touch with the kid that we are not naming right now,
I
and
don't know why.
he's very
Why
locked
aren't we
in.
naming him? It's Anthony Hill, guys. Come on, everyone knows.
Yeah, I mean, I think Anthony's locked in. He's a guy that he said once he's committed, like he's shutting down his recruitment. I think this is really just Jonte trying to go after him. And yeah, Anthony's liking the tweet and whatever, but that's just to add some, like, you want people just conspiring on Twitter, like, oh, he could decommit, oh, he could flip. That's just kind of the nature of how recruiting is nowadays. I think it is impressive to look at, but I think when you're Anthony Hill and you look at from a playing standpoint, he's a guy who's going to come and play right away at A&M. So and playing with a D line that's pretty solid. So I don't see him flipping. Now, do I think other people might flip? Yes, I think that's always very possible. I think a game like this is definitely going to help do that. But in regards to Anthony Hill, I don't think that this game really helps flip him.
I know Texas D line looked pretty good on Saturday. I think Colton might be the other name. People are probably, could he flip from Oklahoma? Let's kind of flip it now and ponder this question. I hate to do this to you, Jackson, but on the flip side, does that A&M loss hurt them on the recruiting front at all? I mean, not really a loss that you would have really expected coming into that game. Could that hurt? Especially when you look defensive side. They only gave up what was it, 17 points, I believe it was. So not worried there, but I'm talking about on the offensive front where there's clearly some issues there that need to be addressed. Could that potentially hurt? I mean, I think you always can say yes to potentially, but let's get your opinions. Jackson, let's come to you as the resident A&M fan here.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's not something you want as a school recruiting, especially offensive players. But when you look at it in the aspect of quarterback play and play calling just wasn't there, and it really was just coaching in that game. And of course, like as a recruit, you want to go to a school that's has great coaches. A&M does have great coaches. I just don't think the scheme's all there right now, and that's going to be fixed. And we'll see if it's fixed against Miami. I think that's a big tell. But I think it hurts a little bit, but at the same time, the guys that they're going after, especially the guys that are already committed, they're locked in. They're ready to go. They want to make an impact, and as they can see right now, A&M's playing 20 plus freshmen and sophomores on both sides of the ball. If that's not attractive to a young player, that's a highly rated player to want to go play in the best division in football. I mean, I think that says it all. It was a tough loss. It was definitely one that hurts, but I don't think it necessarily is going to really damage recruiting that much.
Well, first off, thank you for taking the ease off that loss to Bama, because I was hurting a little bit there for that 1 point loss, and then cheer me up a little bit. I'm not gonna lie, cheer me up a little bit. Now, let's get the unbiased take, right? We talked to the A&M fan, so let's get the unbiased take here. Ashton, what do you think? Could this potentially affect, recruiting on the A&M side?
I mean, anything can really affect recruiting. Do I think losing to Appalachian State hurts a little bit more? Yes, but I think the flip side of it is, where do they go from here? Obviously, not a lot of people are happy with Jimbo. If you go down Twitter, it's all you've been seeing. They're not happy with Haynes King. A lot of it is going to come down to what these coaches do to change the narrative of whatever is going on at A&M. I think the biggest thing here is how they go forward with Miami. You've got a lot of big-time recruits coming in for this Miami game, not only for A&M, but also Miami. I mean, you've got a lot of guys from Florida and Louisiana and Georgia that are coming in to see this game. And I think that if you're A&M and you flip the script, change the narrative, you're not only going to continue to lock in those guys, but also maybe be able to pick up some more.
Yeah, and kind of final thoughts on this is simply that at the end of the day, I think for the most part, I think this is only going to affect recruits that, may not have been 100% when they committed, right? Sometimes a recruit will commit, and not exactly 100%, maybe they're 80, 90, 95%. But, a trajectory of a team can sway them, and we've seen it plenty of times. I mean, we saw it last year with Texas losing a couple of recruits because of the way that season went. So it's all about the narrative you can spin, right? Can you convince them that, hey, just because this is a bad season doesn't mean next season will be, and you can be that missing piece. So at the end of the day, I think it's too soon to really tell, from a Texas standpoint, from losing to the number one team in the or number two now, a team in the nation by 1 point, when in all honesty, you probably should have won that game. Probably would have won it if Quinn Ewers didn't get hurt. And that's just me being a Texas fan. I'm going to say that, of course. I mean, I still think they would have won in 2009 without Colt McCoy, or 2009. No, 2010. Johnson? Yeah, I think that's when it was, when Colt McCoy got hurt. But that's just the fan in me, right? We're all gonna, as a fan, I'm gonna have a little bit of bias. I'm not afraid to say that. But at the end of the day, I think this won't affect recruiting quite yet. Of course, like I said, unless a recruit was kind of right on the cusp, right? They didn't really know. They're not all in, all that, but they wanted to commit. See, Ashton, I saw you raise your hand. What do you have to add?
So to kind of tie it into going into local recruits or Texas recruits, I think this Miami game is going to be really big for DJ Lagway and where he's going to go. I know just moments or a couple hours before we got on the show, he said that he's going to announce his top 10. I think this Miami A&M game, because he's going to be in attendance, I'm pretty sure. I think this game's going to be really big for them. So I forgot to mention that in the whole where does this go for recruits, but like I said, getting bigger guys in this Miami game for A&M would be huge.
Let's go ahead and jump to some other news. I know, Jackson, I saw you kind of raise your hand when he brought up DJ Lagway. So let's go ahead and talk about other news across the state of Texas high school football when it comes to recruiting. Jackson, I'll turn to you now. What I'm sure you probably want to talk about that, but with that, talk your mind on that and any other news you want to kind of throw our way.
Yeah, I just wanted to piggyback off of that. Lagway will be there this Saturday in College Station. This is his second visit in the past 2 weeks. He visited Florida last week to watch Florida take on Kentucky, and now he's heading to Texas A&M. These are two programs that have really been pushing him, in Florida and A&M. I expect A&M to be in this top 10, but I think that, like Ashton said, it is going to be a game that you want to impress Lagway. I think that A&M has the ability to do that, and all regards, it's just going to be a great atmosphere for the game. So that will definitely impact a kid like him, and definitely a highly rated kid to watch out for his top 10 this weekend. In other news, I've got Justin Williams, number one linebacker in the state, class of 2024, who we had on the show last week. He picked up an offer from USC. That's a big offer for him, as his recruitment has been kind of lulling in the past couple of months, but it's picking back up, ramping back up. That's a big offer for him. With that new staff and Lincoln Riley at USC. Other than that, I also got Ashton Funk, class of 2024 offensive lineman from Tompkins, picked up an offer from Auburn. His recruitment really blew up this summer and this past offseason. It's continuing on right now as Tompkins is having a really good year. So expect that list to continue on. But that's pretty much all I got for this week. But yeah.
Ashton, any other news from across the state that you want to bring up before we head to our interview this week?
So to kind of pick off where we started with Justin Williams, I think Coach Grinch, we're starting to recruit Williams is really gonna the UNC Lincoln Riley or USC Lincoln Riley and Coach Grinch, they're really gonna start digging deeper into some of these Texas kids. Obviously Ashton Funk got Auburn, but he also got Louisville the day prior. And then a CE King safety, Levante Johnson, if I pronounced that wrong, my apologies. He got offered from Houston. And 2024 Timpson wide receiver, Bosky Howard also received offers from Auburn and Vanderbilt.
Showing a little love to the small schools. Ashton, gotta love it. Well, it is interview time, and boy, do we have a good one for you today. Let's just jump into it right now. Here is our interview this week. So it looks like our interview for the week had to cancel last second. So unfortunately, this week we will not be having an interview. Return you to the show now. And it is now time for our, 1A of our final segment, as we like to call it, because 1B is, of course, our shout-outs. But let's move to our Under the Radar segment, which is, of course, a segment where we like to, talk about athletes we feel are under the radar for one reason or another. They're highly kind of 4 or 5 star that's just not getting as many offers as we feel they should, or they're a kid that doesn't have maybe any stars and you could see the skill on tape and they're just not getting recruited for one reason or another. That being said, Jackson, who is your under the radar athlete this week?
Yeah, my under the radar athlete this week is James Cave from Parish Episcopal High School. He's a class of 2023 defensive end. He's 6'6", 240. He's just a long, lengthy kid. He's got 3 offers as of right now from Air Force, Georgetown, and Stetson. I expect him to really kind of gain some momentum here as Parish Episcopal has really been going off this year. They just beat LBJ last week pretty decisively. They've beaten Aledo, and they also took down Episcopal, and they have a big time matchup with South Oak Cliff when this show airs on Friday. He's a kid that really just sets the edge on the outside, has great pass rush ability, also has the ability to fill the gap, fill the hole in the run game, has great punch, great twitch, great speed off the edge. So he's definitely a kid I expect to start picking up some more D1 offers here pretty soon. And he's also a great academic kid, 3.5 GPA and 30 ACT score. So really smart kid and a really smart football player. And I expect him to really start to see his recruitment go in the right direction here in the next couple of months.
Ashton, let's turn to you now. Who is your under the radar athlete for this week?
My under the radar athlete of the week is Cade Tessier, a senior Lake Creek quarterback. Through 3 games, Lake Creek has averaged 51 points under the reign of Cade Tessier. He has thrown for 533 yards with 4 touchdowns. He also has nearly 300 rushing yards and 4 rushing touchdowns. Standing at 6'4", weighing in at 205, Tessier is one of the bigger quarterbacks in the Houston area, but is also able and capable of running a 4.5 40. Tessier does a great job utilizing his strength when throwing downfield, his size and his quickness when getting out of the pocket, and most importantly, he leads. He was able to show off his talent over the summer at the A&M camp, where he was able to get some recognition from some of the recruiting websites. They had kind of gone a little bit more in depth on his recruitment and where they expect him to go. This is a young Lake Creek team. They've only been to the playoffs just once in the last 4 years. With Tessier leading this team, I think they have a great chance of making it to the playoffs this year and even further.
My under the radar athlete this week is going to be Deuce Adams at a 5A New Braunfels Canyon. Adams, he currently holds 6 offers. He's a class of 2024 quarterback, so of course that could be why, right? Class of 2024. Sometimes they don't pick up those offers till later on, but I feel like he should still have more. Stands at 6'2" and weighs in at 175 pounds, and could end up being one of the top quarterbacks in the class of 2024 when all is said and done. Really like all the intangibles he has. I have him as my under the radar because even though he's a junior, again, I feel like he should have more than 6 offers. Is all the dynamics you like to see as a quarterback. He has the accuracy. He has the patience. He sometimes he has that patience to let the play develop, and you'll even see it sometimes here in these clips I'm showing from their game against New Braunfels. He has that pocket presence you like to see. I mean, he knows when that defender is coming on that blind side. He's got the confidence to improvise when needed, and as a junior, that's really what you like to see from a young quarterback. He's off to a hot start this year. He's thrown for almost 900 yards already, 11 touchdowns. Again, looked very impressive against his win over 6A opponent in New Braunfels. So my under the radar this week, Deuce Adams out of New Braunfels Canyon. If you or someone you know wants to be on this show, hit us up in the comments. Let us know in the DMs. Send us emails. We will cover you. That's what we like to do. That's what this segment is all about. That being said, let's get our shout-outs and get out of here. Jackson, who are you shouting out?
Yeah, I'm going to shout out you guys. Another great show, episode 32. We've been going strong. Going to keep going through the rest of the football season and the spring. Other than that, shout out to all A&M fans who had a tough loss last week. Hopefully we bounce back this week, expecting a big game.
Ashton, who are you shouting out this week?
So shout out 3 people. I'm going to start out with y'all. Like you said, episode 32. It just feels like I just got on the show not long ago, and it's been a fun ride. And I'm going to shout out Tomball's coach, Dave Handel, under his new reign. He got his first W against Praylin Dawson last week. And I'm going to shout out Matthew Golden from Klein Kane. He really showed out against Texas Tech, and scoring a touchdown. And I think he's going to be a really good freshman down the line for this young Houston Cougars team.
And I'm going to shout out Austin's own Charles White. Of course, this third-string quarterback out of UT. He might be starting. No one really knows who's starting on Saturday. Sark is being very tight-lipped about it. In fact, he said something along the lines of today is like, if I wanted you to know who we're going to be playing on Saturday, I'll let you guys come to practice. So, keeping it very tight-lipped But Charles Varney could play, and gotta give him a shout out because he could have probably gone to another college, maybe maybe not a Power 5 school or something like that. He's out of Austin. He played for the Austin Maroons. But he went to Texas. He took and developed nicely from what Sark is saying. So shout out to Charles Wright, who might get that start with the injury to Ewers and Hudson Card not being 100%. So that being said, we are here every Friday for VYPE Recruit Spotlight at 3:00 now. You can find us Monday through Friday here at 3:00 with some type of podcast or show. So until next week, I am Wack. That's Jackson and Ashton. We'll see you at the games.